ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀਓ। ਵਡਹੰਸ ਮਹੱਲਾ ਤੀਜਾ, ਘਰ ਪਹਿਲਾ। ਇੱਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ। ਮਨ ਮੈਲਾ ਸਭ ਕਿਛ ਮੈਲਾ, ਤਨ ਧੋਤਾ ਮਨ ਹੱਛਾ ਨਾ ਹੋਏ। ਇਹ ਜਗਤ ਭਰਮ ਭੁਲਾਇਆ, ਵਿਰਲਾ ਬੂਝੈ ਕੋਏ। ਮਨ ਮੈਲੇ ਸਭ ਕਿਛ ਮੈਲਾ, ਤਨ ਧੋਤੇ ਮਨ ਹੱਛਾ ਨਾ ਹੋਏ। ਇਹ ਜਗਤ ਭਰਮ ਭੁਲਾਇਆ, ਵਿਰਲਾ ਬੂਝੈ ਕੋਏ। ਜਪ ਮਨ ਮੇਰੇ ਤੂੰ ਏਕੋ ਨਾਮ, ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਦੀਆ ਮੋਕੋ ਇਹੋ ਨਿਧਾਨ ਰਹਾਉ। ਸਿੱਧਾਂ ਕੇ ਆਸਣ ਜੇ ਸਿੱਖੈ, ਇੰਦਰੀ ਵਸ ਕਰ ਕਮਾਏ। ਮਨ ਕੀ ਮੈਲ ਨਾ ਉਤਰੈ, ਹਉਮੈ ਮੈਲ ਨਾ ਜਾਏ। ਇਸ ਮਨ ਕੋ ਹੋਰ ਸੰਜਮ ਕੋ ਨਾਹੀ, ਵਿਣ ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਕੀ ਸ਼ਰਨਾਏ। ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਮਿਲਿਆ ਉਲਟੀ ਭਈ, ਕਹਿਣਾ ਕਿਛੂ ਨਾ ਜਾਏ। ਭਣਤ ਨਾਨਕ ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਕੋ ਮਿਲਦੋ, ਮਰੈ ਗੁਰ ਕੈ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਫਿਰ ਜੀਵੈ ਕੋਇ। ਮਮਤਾ ਕੀ ਮਲ ਉਤਰੈ, ਇਹੋ ਮਨ ਮਨਾ ਹੱਛਾ ਹੋਏ। ਭਣਤ ਨਾਨਕ ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਕੋ ਮਿਲਦੋ, ਮਰੈ ਗੁਰ ਕੈ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਫਿਰ ਜੀਵੈ ਕੋਇ। ਮਮਤਾ ਕੀ ਮਲ ਉਤਰੈ, ਇਹੋ ਮਨਾ ਹੱਛਾ ਹੋਏ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ, today's Hukamnama Sahib from Sri Sachkhand, Harmandir Sahib is on Ang 558, and it's by Guru Amar Das Ji, Sache Paatshah Ji in Vadhans Rag. Paatshah Ji, they start with the Mangala Charan of Ek Onkar Satguru Prasad. Guru Amar Das Ji Paatshah Ji tell us that only with the Prasad, only with the Kirpa, the grace of the Satguru, of the true Guru, can we have union with that one Vaheguru Ji. So Sangat Ji, Guru Amar Das Ji Paatshah Ji is saying to us today that Man mela, sab kich mela. They said when our mind is soiled, when the mind is actually polluted, man mele, then they say that sab kich mela. Then they say that everything is then polluted. Everything then is soiled. When Guru Amar Das Ji Paatshah is saying that, then sab kich mela, then that everything else becomes dirty as well. What does Guru Amar Das Ji mean by this? What Guru Sahib Ji is saying to us, that once that impurity enters the mind, and how long has it been since this has been going? Guru Granth Sahib Ji Bani tells us that it's not just from this life that we've been accumulating all of this dirt within our mind. Kende janam janam is man ko mal lagi. Guru Sahib Ji saying, it's been many lifetimes. Janam janam ko is man ko, this mind Sangat Ji is not this brain that we think. It's not this brain, that this physical brain that we have within this body. It's not this mind. This mind that Satguru Ji is referring to is all of what we have done. That actually travels with us. All the actions that we have done in our last lives, those actually travel with us. That mind that Satguru Ji is referring to, Sangat Ji, yes, if somebody has that realization of their last lives, then through this brain, they process that information and are able to then come to some sort of understanding of it. So Sangat Ji, Pacha Ji is saying that Janam ki is man ko mal lagi. Mal means dirt. Kala hua siyaho. They said it's become kala, it's become black. Siyaho means like ash. That's how much we have accumulated. And how is it that we've accumulated that? It's through the different actions that we have done. And that mind has become impure. So once that mind has got impurities in it, for example, if that mind has now got lustful thoughts, those could be the impurities. And often when we see this translated, when we see in the English translations, they often use things like evil thoughts or evil-minded. But Sangat Ji, for some reason, that term, when we use evil-minded, I can't relate to it. Because for me, when I think evil, I think something very drastic. Something that is really not something that we hear of every day. So for me, evil thoughts or having an evil mind wouldn't be the right term. I can't connect to it personally. So for me, it's more so that when, for example, we've got lustful thoughts within this mind, once that mind has got those type of thoughts, only then it will spill over into our senses, meaning then it will make our senses filthy as well. Sabakich, then everything will become dirty. How? So, for example, our eyes. ਉਹ ਵੀ ਫਿਰ ਮੈਲੀਆਂ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ. That then Pacha Ji saying to us, just like Guru Sahib Ji tell us in Asa Ki War, they say to us, they say that man ka sutak lobh hai. They said, first of all, this mind, number one is the mind is impure. Man ka sutak lobh hai. This is once this mind becomes impure with greed, greed is wanting, is not being satisfied and wanting more and more of something. Kende man ka sutak lobh hai. Kende then what happens after that? Kende jehva sutak kood. Then our tongue becomes dirty as well, because the dirt's in the mind, then it comes onto our tongue. Then we even start to speak that way. So if we stick to that same example, so we'll go through this sequence, that if there's lustful thoughts in the mind, first of all, the man is mela, then what happens is it comes onto our tongue, then kood, then we speak false. Speaking false can be speaking false in many different ways. In what ways can it be that we can speak false? One is that we could be lying with this tongue. Two, we could be speaking bitterly with this tongue. We could be slandering with this tongue. Or what else could we be doing? We could actually be flirting with this tongue. We could be speaking lustfully with this tongue. But the lust was in our mind, but now from that being dirty, now the tongue has become dirty as well. Because the tongue is a karam indri as well. We spoke about this, I spoke about this yesterday. Karam means it forms an action as well. So when we speak, it's an action. And then the action of speaking lustfully, flirting, or speaking even that type of speech, Sangat Ji, when we've got dirty thoughts about someone, then that even speech becomes dirty. So in that way, everything starts to become like that. Then even our ears, how do we make even our ears dirty then? Then those senses of listening. It's not like the actual physical ears become dirty. It's the sense organ that we make that filthy as well. Then when we've got that type of lustful thoughts in the mind, then we want to hear, we want to listen to those type of things as well. We may want to listen to those type of songs. We may want to engage in those type of conversations, and somebody might want to hear somebody speak in a certain way to them. So, Sangat Ji, I'll leave that to your imagination, and I'm sure you can all understand the example that I'm using. So then, it comes onto our touch sense as well. Once that mind is dirty with that lust, and then it desires for this touch sense as well, to want to touch the jism, the body of another, and that's referring to even if that isn't your own partner, then that touch sense gets filthy. First it's in the mind, but then it actually goes and does the action, and then it's even made that sense organ dirty as well. So I'm sure that everyone hopefully now understands how everything then it gets dirty. But how did the mind get dirty in the first place? Sangaji, what a circle that everything goes through. Because the mind first got dirty through the senses. So through what we've been looking at, and then allowed ourselves to look at certain things. So the mind, for example, starts off pure. We're looking at certain things. So we're watching a certain type of movie, and then there could be a lustful scene on the movie that we're watching on the screen, and then all that goes and gets stored inside into our memory bank. But so what we call manas, memory and thoughts are one. They're under the one bracket. So what happens, we might not have consciously stored it in our memory. It's not like we're doing chintan of it. It's not like it's become our simran, where it becomes our remembrance, what we've watched. But whether we're conscious of it or not, it's still gone and stored it in. So we can't now do anything about that. So then what happens is, then some of our actions then come from that subconscious mind that isn't active. So then it's actually having an influence on what we then start doing because of what we've watched. So we've made our man mela through originally the senses, and then what happens is through the mind being mela, then we start to desire to look at certain things, to listen to certain things, to touch certain things. So Pachaji here is saying man mela sab kich mela. Then they say that tan tota man hacha na hoye. They said even if you wash your body, you go on to pilgrimage, because what people do is that this was very popular. What people would do, they would commit a sin, so they'd go and do the sin. So for example, somebody goes and sleeps with somebody else and they're having an affair, so they cheat on their partner. They go and commit that sin, they go and cheat, and they go and sleep with somebody else, or they're having even a relationship, whether it's just over conversation, and they're having those type of conversations that are not pure, where those conversations aren't in that way inclined, where your conversation is where you're treating that person like your brother or your sister. So what happens is you've done the sin, you've done that act, and then what happens is that then you find yourself a upa means when you go and you try and go and do a good deed just to cancel that bad deed out. But Pataji is saying that's not how it works. So this isn't talking about, this is you use your own cleverness and you say, well, you know what? I'll go and do this now. I'll go and do a good deed. I'll go and join those teams, those organizations that distribute langar in town. I'll go and join them. And today I'll go and do that good deed so it can wash away that bad deed that I've done. But they've got no intention of actually stopping those actions. So they think they create it and they make it into a game. So they do that bad deed, go and do a good deed. Bad deed, good deed. Guru Amar Das Ji Pachaji talked to us about this. They say to us that this is Simrat Sastar Pun Paap Vicharde Tatte Sar Na Jani. This is Simrat Sastar. So what people do is they say they actually look into these scriptures, the Simratiyan, the Shastras, the Hindu texts. Not to say that there's no truth in them, because often the way we translate it is, we translate it in a way to say, we translate it, Sangatji, in such a way to say that within these Simratiyan, within these actual shastras, that there is, that we actually say that within these actual texts and scriptures, this is what they are all about. No, what it means is that we are looking for that. We are looking for, I want to continue doing what I'm doing, the bad deeds, but I'm looking for now, what good deed can I do? And I'll find that from the scripture to go and do that so it can eliminate the bad that I'm doing. Pachaji says, Simrat Sastra Pun Pap Vichar De. That all they do within their mind is vichar. They're contemplating, oh, let me see what deed I can find to do so that it can eradicate that bad deed that I've done. Simrat Sastra Pun Pap Vichar De Tatte Sarna Jani. But they haven't understood the tatte, the tat, the essence of how this whole game actually works. Tatte Sarna Jani. This says, how can you actually come to know of that? Kende tatte sarna jani guru bajo. But without actually taking on a guru, you cannot actually know the essence of how to cleanse your mind. That's not going to cleanse your mind. You can continue to go on these pilgrimages and think, now I've done a good deed, and now that will actually eliminate the bad deeds that I'm doing, that I'm continuing to doing, and I've got no intention to stopping. So Sangat Ji, there's many people that get into all of that, and you'll hear somebody saying, ye fake hi hoya, and what if I'm drinking alcohol, jimme sharab peena vi haan, if I'm drinking alcohol, and from when I'm drinking alcohol, then it affects my mind, and then I end up saying things that I don't mean. You know, I might have said something hurtful. I might have actually started looking at other women, even though I've got a wife. I might have had a flirtatious conversation. But, you know, I now, at least I go and give charity, and at least I go and help those that haven't got enough food. So then we decide with our own clever mind, we'll just find something, oh, that's a good deed, I'll go and do that, and that'll cancel that out. But Satguru is saying, no, this is that tan tote, you washing this body, man, but your mind, hacha na hoye, that's not being cleansed. Then they say, kende ehe jagat param pulaya. This says this world is pulaya, is lost in this doubt, thinking that I can just cancel things out by doing something good on top. And then this is that virla bujje koi. This is, but there's only very virle, there's only very few that have come to understand this. This is jap man mere tu eko naam. This saying, but oh my mind, meditate upon the name of that one. Kende oh ek naam, kende jap, kende us naam de japan de naal, only through when we start to japna, meditate on Waheguru Ji, only then can we start to actually wash and cleanse this mind. When we look at this, that then Paatji tell us, Guru Amar Das Ji, they say Satguru Diya Moko Eho Nidan. A beautiful way that I read somebody translating this, that Satguru might, that the Guru of truth, Diya Moko, that gave me what? Eho Nidan, gave me this precious teaching that it's only when I meditate on the name of God that it's going to start to wash my filth and dirt away from my mind. Guru Sahib Ji tell us, they kende pariye hath pair tan de. They said, I feel these pariye hath, these hands, pariye hath pair, my feet, pariye hath pair tan de, with dirt. They get dirty, pariye hath pair tan de. Pani tote utras khe. This is, but the dirt from your hands and feet, kende pani tote utras khe, that will all be washed away. Sangat Ji, as I'm saying that, and Pachi is telling us about our hands might get dirty, our feet might get dirty. And it reminds me of something funny that I often go out in the garden with bare feet, and I get all my feet dirty on the grass because I love walking on the grass with bare feet. And then my wife goes crazy and she'll say, make sure you wash your feet and don't take your dirty feet on our nice, beautiful cream carpet. So it's easily washed away, but I do my little washing, but I quickly just rinse my feet with water outside, but it doesn't quite do it. So sometimes we need to use a bit more force, and if it's something soiled a bit heavier, then we need to use soap and then scrub it off. So for all of these things, Paatji is saying, look, these are the ways. This is what pariya hath pair tande, pani tote utras khe. But this is moot pliti kappad hoye. This says, say if your clothes are soiled with urine, They said moot paliti. Moot means urine. Paliti, palit means something that becomes soiled, dirty. Moot paliti kappad hoye. Your now clothes become soiled with urine. And this often happens. You see that when this happens with children all the time. And not just with children, even with adult Sangaji, especially with men, so they often end up soiling their clothes with urine. Moot pliti kappad hoye de. This is, but even that, there's an apar for it. You can do something for that. Moot pliti de saboon laye oho toye. You can wash that away with then using soap. This is but yeah mat. But if this mind, par ye mat papa ka sang, but it's filled with sins, all these sins that I've done now, if I'm carrying the weight of all these sins that I've done, I've had an affair, I've cheated on my wife, I've done all these things, even if it's just I've been flirting with others, because my mind was filthy, my mind was filled with lust, and then I started talking that away. I wanted to listen to those type of things, and then it led me into that direction, led these senses into that direction. They become dirty as well. But ye mat papa ka sang, this is oho. But how do you wash the mind? Oho topa. How do I wash that? Oho topa nave. Nave means with the name of God. Nave ka rang. This says, but you need the color of love. So you can't just meditate on God's name mechanically like a parrot. You have to have that love inside of your mind for God to be able to wash your mind. And you can only get that name can be given to us by the Guru. So Satguru Ji Pat Ji saying to us that here, that Sadguru Milya, where are we? We are Sadguru Diya Moko Eho Nidan Rahao. This is contemplate on this. Then Pataji say to us that Siddha ke asan je sikha indri vas kar kamai. This is then even if you Siddha ke asan, all the Siddhs, all the yogis, all the different types of postures that they practice, Siddha ke asan je sikha, and even if you was to then learn those different types of postures, can they indri vas kar kamai, and then you with stubborn mindedness, and then you actually start to your senses come under your control. So you've done all these postures, now you've controlled your senses, now you don't allow your senses to look at certain things, you don't allow your ears to listen to certain things, your hands to touch certain things, but your mind still isn't washed. And now this is a tricky one, because even Guru Sahib Ji say that we've got to have control over our senses, but then over here Guru Sahib just slammed them. What does this mean? It's saying that you may have controlled your senses, but your mind is still dirty from the past. What about what you've accumulated from the past? Now you're not making it filthy further, but you've still got to deal with what's already inside of there. And you might have then started practicing all these different type of postures, but man ki mail na utre, but the filth that your mind was filled with from previous, that's still not washed away. So it's like this. So it's like we've got a glass that's got dirty water in there. So now we're not putting no more dirt in there, but you still got that dirt that's in the glass. The only way we're going to wash that away is if we put clean water, put enough clean water in there, then that dirty water still will start spilling out. So then part saying that man ki mail na utre, home mail na jaye. But we've still got the mail of home, of I, that I have managed to control my senses. I can do all of these postures. Until we don't take on the Guru, Pachi said the only way this can work is that is man ko hor sanjam ko nahi. They said there's no other way out for this mind. When Satguru ki sharanai, you have to come into the Guru sanctuary. When I submit myself to the Guru, then I won't be able to say I controlled my eyes. Then I'll say with the grace of my Guru, the Guru has given me the tools to meditate on God's name, to start washing my mind. And once my mind started to become pure, then my eyes followed, then my ears followed. Because the mind's pure now my eyes are looking, Now my eyes are not seeing the beauty of another. Now my eyes are just seeing, this is my sister, this is my mother, this is my daughter. Because the Guru's washed my mind, because there's no I now. There's now that Guru, your way. It wasn't my way, it was your way. Your way, you gave me the Naam, that you inspired me to meditate on the Naam. You instilled the name of God inside of me. You gave me your wrath. By following your wrath, I was careful with then what I spoke. I was careful with what I listened to. Then my mind started to become washed with that Naam. Oh tope nave ke rang. And then my ears became pure, my eyes became pure, and everything then became pure. Pachaji then say to us that Satguru miliye ulti pay. When I meet the true Guru, what happens is miliye ulti means then I turn around from the way I was living before. The world tells me it's okay to do these things. The world tells me, and so what? They'll use terms like you're only window shopping. Even if you're married, there's no harm in looking at somebody else. The world tells me that, but then Sadhguruji turns my mind around. Bhai, kehna kichu na jaye. They're saying that there's nothing else left to say. That this is their way, is following the Guru. Panat Nanak Satguru Moko. They're saying Panat Nanak, Guru Nanak Dev Ji, Pachaji here is doing a Panat. Panat meaning that it's their benti, their request. They're saying Satguru ko mil do. The moment you meet the Satguru, this is what will happen. Mare, then my ego will start to die, my old ways will start to die. Mare, Gur ke Shabad, then through the Guru's teachings, Gur ka Shabad, fir jeeve koi, then we actually start to live a pure life. Then we start to get to live what we actually call life. This says Mamata ki mal, this says then the mal, then the dirt of mamata, of possessiveness, of my, and then saying utre eho, then that will be removed. Mana hacha hoye, then this mind will become pure. So Sangat Ji, just to sum that up, just to understand that, if we use that example, when Guru Nanak Dev Ji, Padshah Ji, when they went to the house of somebody that was named Bhoomia, who was a Chor, who was a thief, he was somebody that would take people in to give them shelter. He had a little travel in. Guru Nanak Dev Ji and Bhai Mardana Ji went there, and he called Guru Nanak Dev Ji to come and stay at his house, that he wouldn't let anybody else serve. When he saw Guru Nanak Dev Ji had come, he saw that Guru Nanak Dev Ji chehra is very radiant, and he thought that it'd be great for me to actually serve this great being. And he said, let me, Guru Nanak Dev Ji, prepare some food for you. When he went to prepare food for Guru Nanak Dev Ji, and he brought this beautiful plate of food to Guru Nanak Sahib Ji, and Guru Nanak Dev Ji कहन लगे, कहंदे मैनू दस, कहंदे तेरी किरत की आ, कहंदे tell me what your kirt is, tell me how you earn your money, tell me how you've earned this food. And Bhoomia Chor, at that moment, he went silent. Because people that would come, other saints that would come, wouldn't care to ask him this question, what you did for a living. They just wanted shelter, they just wanted that food, didn't care for what he did. But Guru Nanak Dev Ji said, कहंदे Bhoomia, कहंदे तू करदा किया, तेरी किरत किया, कहंदे what do you do for a living? Bhoomia at that moment, normally what would he do? He would lie. Instantly he would lie, he would never tell them what he did. But today he could feel that he's in the presence of a mirror, in the presence of somebody that represents the truth. And he felt that this being is so true that I cannot hide anything from him, that nanga dozak chalya, that he can see that all my sins are on display now. So then Sangat Ji, what happened? Bhoomia Chor said, कहंदे मेरी किरत, कहंदे मैं एक चोर या. He said, I'm a thief. The moment he said, I'm a thief, Guru Nanak Dev Ji, Pachaji Ji, कहंदे Bhoomia, कहंदे तू भला कीता, कहंदे you did something, कहंदे very good, कहंदे मैं भला कीता, कहंदे how is it that I've done भला, how is it that I've done good? Guru Nanak Dev Ji कहणगे कहंदे भूमिया तू एवें भला कीता, this is how you've done good Bhoomia, कहंदे you just spoke the truth, because Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha Ji is that Guru that actually they attach to, they look at our good, they look at our qualities. Even Guru Sahib Ji teaches us to do that. They say Sanj Krije Gun hai Keri Chod Avgan Chaliye. They say Sanj Krije, can they share the qualities with each other? Let go of those bad points that you're always looking at in other people. Always focus on the qualities. Guru Nanak Dev Ji focused on his quality, and he said, okay Pacha Ji, I've told you the truth now eat this food. Guru Nanak Dev Ji said, I cannot eat that food. He said, but why? They said, because there's the crying of those people that you have robbed in this, that there's pain and suffering in this food. But he said, no. He said, you know why that this food is okay? He said, even though that I do bad, he said, but I erase that bad deed that I do by serving saints, by serving people like you. I give them shelter and I give you food. He goes, so I erase the bad I do. Guru Nanak Dev Ji said, kende tu bhola hai, kende you're so innocent minded. They said it doesn't work like that. You cannot try and use your own cleverness and your own ego to say this is how it works, this is what I'll do. You may have read from a shastra or a scripture somewhere that feeding somebody is a very good deed. They said, but it doesn't work like that. It doesn't erase then the bad that you are doing. Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha said, Kendi, you only walking on the path of truth, they said, will erase the filth that is accumulated in your mind. So Satguru Ji, what Satguru Ji Pacha Ji meant by that is that we only when we take on a Guru Sangat Ji, and then the Guru gives us Naam to jop, but as we're putting that pure name, the meditation of God inside, and then we're following the Guru. Sangat Ji, it's not, Guru might get us to do exactly the same things. The Guru will get us then to actually to give that donation to charity, to actually give offering to saints. But Sangat Ji, so the action is the same, but because we're following now what the Guru is saying, it takes the I out of it. We can't say I done that. We can say now that it's the Guru's grace. The Guru's grace takes my I out. So it's not about the actual action itself. It's not to say, so that then I go and do that. It might be the same thing that I was doing previously, the actual deed, but now it's through the Guru, and the Guru is washing my eye away from me, and in that way I start to become cleansed. Sangat Ji, so इतनी एक बेनती है प्रवान, एक नहीं पर अनेक ही गलतियां हो गई हैं, अनजान बच्चा समझ के बख्श देना. सो आओ बुलाइए फतेह. वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा, वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह.